Hello everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this channel, we teach from scratch how to build mobile and web applications. If it's the first time of getting to this channel or watching this video, then check the playlist because we have a lot of videos or lessons for you, both projects and single or individual lessons that you can take. So this video, we are going to talk about 3 things that we can use to optimize our web API code or project. The first one is the Lambda expression. Second one is the Ternary operator. And the third one is the Coalescing operator. Now, with each, we're going to talk about each and know how to integrate it into our web API. So we're going to create a web API project, and I'll try to go with the local one, the native one that we know already. Then we're going to fuse in the current one or the new one that we can use to optimize the code. And we check the code used here, and let's see. So you can choose one when writing the code where we need to get the same output. What we're going to do here first is we have to create our project. So let's create our web API project. So launch your Visual Studio 2022 and create a new project. I'm going to choose web API. So I can select this and I'll go for web API. That is C# and that is F#. We go for C# and now here I'll just write web API demo. Okay, so I have my location chosen. Click on next, and I'll choose the framework of 7.0. So click on create. So this is going to create the web API project. Now in this project, we are not going to connect to database. We're going to have a hard-coded data inside the application. For database connectivity, I have it a lot in my web API videos. But if you want us to go over it again, then you can leave your suggestion under the comment section, so you know what to do to have your API connected to database. And I also leave a link to videos which have API connected to database over there. So you can also watch this video, and these lessons will help you a lot to know how to get API connected to either SQL Server or SQLite. Now this is our project. So let's run this project defaultly and see what we have when the project runs. You can see with the default project, we have a weather forecast. So it is saying there's an error here. Let's check it up over here. So it's saying this project is not found, or this, JSON file is not found here. So let's see what we can do. We have to get connected to internet so we can run a NuGet package manager to restore. Let's see, so dependencies, so you have an error here, that's the package. So you see, you have to click on update. But before that, you have to make sure we are connected to the internet. So let's try to update this. So you see, it is loading from the update. Or maybe you can also decide to build the solution. And when building, it's going to restore the NuGet packages. So we wait for the necessary packages to get restored. Then it runs the application for us to see the default web API project. So you can see it is ready over here, and the app is about to run. So let's wait while it launches our browser to display our API that we have created. So now let's run this. So we can close this off. Okay, so this is the default one that we have. And as you can see, it is a weather forecast. So you see we have the default one, and that is data from this weather forecast. Okay, so now this is working. Let's go in there and now create our controller. And that is what we're going to use to have our action methods. So right click, add any controller. Before that, make sure you stop debugging Let's do it again. So add controller, and we can name this controller as an API, and here it's going to be data controller. So let's set to data controller. All right, so let's create. Now we have this controller. This is what we're going to do. Now inside this controller, since we are not going to create a get from the database, we have to still get our model. So let's create a model here. So let's add a class. So new class, and this time around, let's set it as user. So let's use user model. So this user model, we have an ID. So we assume this is getting from the database, and we have name. Maybe you can have email. Okay, let's set this as now. Okay, now we have this. Okay, so we have these three data here. Now let's set this property to, let's say, country. Yeah, country. Okay, so let's go to the controller, and now let's create a list. So we have to create a public, and we say list of user. Then we say users. Okay, equal to, then we have the, so instead of getting this, let's set it to equal to new list. Then let's have, we close this. So Control KB, let's format this well. So this must be in here, and yeah, so that is what we have now. Okay, so Control KB, we formatted to one, and now let's create a new user here. So we're going to create a list of users, and in the list of users, we set a default user. So this default user, we have ID. The ID is 1. We have name, and this name could be, so let's set any name at all. And the next one, we set country. So you can have a country first. You can also make a copy of this and I'll paste it numerous times. So let's grab this. So we assume this are database. So let's change this. We have John Doe. Then let's see where it's coming from. So NY, as in New York. We have this is Simon, and now here let's set this to the next one that we can do. Let's add one more, and this is, and this from, yeah, okay. So let's clear this off. We want to maintain only this. Okay, so now we have a list here. Let's create our first action method, and that's going to be HTTP get. Now this get, this one is, we're going to use the lambda expression. So we say lambda, okay, and so lambda, then this is the without. So lambda means without lambda, okay. Or I want us to use this without lambda, so without, okay, so without lambda, and that is our route. So let's have a public get, and now with this we are going to return only action results, because here it is not tags, because we are not getting from the DB. So, and now we're getting a list of users, and now in here using the old one, so without lambda, this is what we're going to do. We're going to write return users. So that's what you are doing. Now let's save this. Let's run this and see. So here we are not using lambda expression. So in a normal sense, we have to get our brackets. That's our code body. Then we have to return our user since we have a user set over here. And the user has been initialized and populated. So we can just return the user. Okay. So let's see. Now, if I actually, so this is without lambda. So click on file this out. Now let's execute this. And you can see we have the list here. All the IDs are 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So let's change this to 2, 3, 4. So 2, 3, and 4. Save this. Now let's do it again. Try this out. Execute it. Now we see we have this. In a normal sense, this is working. We have the data here. Let's use with lambda. Okay. So we're going to create the same HTTP get. By this time around, we're going to say with lambda. So this one is without and with lambda. So here we have our public, and that is an action result. So with this action result, we are still returning the list of users. And here it is, get 1. Now with this get 1, this is what we are doing. So instead of using this body bracket here, we're going to use the fat arrow. And you know, when you talk about lambda, it is a 11th character. So lambda, as you can see, it is just the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet, but it is also important in programming. Okay, although it's a Greek alphabet, but we can also use it in programming. That's what you see. Normally, I say fat arrow. You see, we have the slim one, and that is this, and now this. Now we only have equal to with this. That's a fat what arrow, but that's a lambda expression. So instead of use, now this lambda represents return. So it's going to replace this return. So what you have to do here is to pass in this lambda expression and I return users. That's all. Now let's try this also and see. So refresh this. Now with lambda, try this out. And actually we have the same list. So instead of using this, we can use just one line. We will say this 1, 2, 3. So when you use this, you're going to have a long list of line of code. But with this, it's just on one line of code, you can get the user. The same thing applies to this. Let's try to get it from here. Let's specify another one. So we have this HTTP get, and on this we say with / lambda. With lambda, then we pass in a parameter as an ID, whereby this ID is an integer. So you want to grab this. So in a normal sense, you're going to say public async, but you don't need async here, public action results. Then you want to grab only a single user. So you say get 2. Now in here we pass in ID. So the normal sense, we're going to say that var user, okay, is equal to, then you can say users dot first or default. Then we say which match to this fact arrow. Then we say this, that's the x dot ID is equal to this ID. Then we can say that return user. So let's see. Now we want to specify, I want to get a specific user. So let's check this. Now you have to pass in the ID. So if I pass in ID 1, who's ID 1? I have the data here. If I pass in ID 3, no 4, you will see 4 has nothing. So I can pass in ID 3 and I have this. Now we see here, if I pass in 4 and execute this, nothing happens. That's a response, 204. Okay. Now with this, that's undocumented because we did not return. So let's see what we did. So instead of this, we have to return okay. So let's return okay with this. So maybe we can make a check and see that if user, okay, is equal to now, then we can just return not found. Else, what do? We can return okay with this user. And that's a beautiful thing about the IntelliSense. You say it does it for me. So let's refresh this and see. So here I pass in, try this out, I pass in 1 and I get it. If I pass in, you can see over here, if I pass in 10, let's see what happens. You can see now the code is 404 and the title is what, not found. So that is the default way. Now let's see with a lambda. So here it is. This one is without lambda, right? Now let's see with lambda. So I'm going to grab the same header over here, or I can grab the same content here. Now let's paste this. So if I paste this, now you see there's a lot of code. So I'm going to change this to 3 and I'm going to return clean all this. Now even here, I'm going to clean this. And that is what I'm going to do. So let me cut this from here. Then maybe I'll clear all this. Then I'm going to use this fat arrow. So I'm going to say I'll paste this. Okay. So here I'm going to say okay. Now open this and I'll pass this method in it. Just one line. So here it is with lambda. Now let's see, save this and now let's check here. So with lambda, try this out, passing the ID 1. Let's see what happens. We have the data, passing ID 4. You see we don't have it here, and now passing ID 3, and you see you have it. So instead of using this almost 5 lines or 6 lines of code, you can use only 1 line of code to grab it. That is the beautiful thing about the lambda expression. I believe this is clear. Now let's go to the next one. And here we have to talk about either the ternary or the coalescing operator. Now let's see first, the next one is the coalescing operator. Okay, so let's talk about this coalescing operator. This was introduced in I think C# version of 8.0. Okay, so it is used to check if a variable is null or if the variable is null, then assign a number to it. Okay, so you can use to check is the variable null, or we can use to check if the variable is null, then assign a value. Let's have a look here. So if you see, we have this country. So I'm going to clear this. So let's put this as null. Let's say when filling this data, the person couldn't identify the country, so you pass it as null. Let's use the coalescing operator. So instead, the first one we're going to talk about without using this operator. And here, let's create our action method. So that's an HTTP GET. And now with this GET, we're going to pass in, this is without. Let's pass in our, so without coalescing operator. Okay. Then you want to specify name, because you want to grab name to check. Now in here we say public return, maybe what do you want to return? You want to return this. So as you can see from here, let's use action results. Let's return just a string. Now in here, that is get 4. Then you're going to say string. Let's use name. But that's what we are specified here. Now we are going to use try here. Then this is catch. So with this catch, we have exceptions. So let's clear this EX because we don't want to handle that. We want to display. So let's create a var. I will say, let's say user is equal to, then users dot. So you want to find where, so fetch max 2. Now x dot name. Okay. So you want to check x dot name dot equals to this name coming in. So you're passing the name, then you want to check the first or default. And here we want to check. You want to check first if the name here it is now. So let's use this. So that is, let's use the coalescing here first. So we say return user dot country. So return user dot country. Now this coalescing, we use this. Okay. So meaning it's going to check, is it now? If it is now, then return no data or no country data. You see, it is very simple, isn't it? Else, we can also return here. We can return not found. Very simple as well. Okay. So in here, let's return an okay here. So return okay. Then we put this in it. Now let's see this. So when we refresh this, we have this coalescing with the name. So let's try this out. Let's pass any name at all. So we say Fred and we execute this. Now let's see the output here. So you can see we have not found. So Fred is not found. Now let's grab a name which is not a data. So let's grab this. Let's go to this and now let's paste this here. So execute. Now so we have the country as Ghana. But let's pass in this, which has it now, John Doe. And let's grab this. Let's go to that. And now let's paste in here. And let's see. So returns what? No country data. So meaning you could say if it is not found, then return this. Very simple. But you see, in the normal sense, we have to do more than this. Okay. Let's see. This could be like, let's comment this. So Control K. Let's comment this. So we can still have this key here. So let's, and we can use if. So that's the normal one. So we can say if user, okay, dot country is now. Okay. Then we want to return. So we want to return no data. So we want to return, okay, then say no data. Isn't it? Else, just return the country.data. So this is the normal thing I'm supposed to do. So here we have how many lines? 1, 2, 3, plus this 4. But here we are using only 2 lines. Let's try this and see. So with the same thing, we pass in the name as John Doe. And now let's execute this. You can see there's no data. So instead of using these 3 lines here, you can optimize this by using this coalescing operator to grab this. It is not only for string. We can also use it in numbers as well. So let's have a look with also a number. Let's try a look using numbers. So let's grab this header and let's paste it the next one here. So instead of this, okay, you're going to clear this off and you're going to use integer. So this is integer. Now with this, we want to return, so public action result. We want to return just an integer here. Then let's get 5. So return. So first of all, with this, using the coalescing, okay, we can first have int count is equal to now. Now we have to make this int also nullable. Okay. Now we can say that return count. Okay, nullable. So return count. If count is nullable, then assign users dot count. So what does this mean? Now we are saying that we initialize the count now. We check if the value of what? Count, the variable count here, if the value is now, then assign this users dot count. It means count this data over here and I'll assign it to this count and return it. So return it, we can use this OK to return that. Now let's save this and also see. So if I run this, try this out, let's see the count. We have the count as 4 because the current data that we have here, it is 4, right? 4. So this ID 4. Now let's do the same thing. You can see this one, very short. Let's grab this. So instead of using this, let's see. So we're going to say that we're going to use if now count is now. Okay. If count is now, then what do you want to do? Then let's say, let's assign count is equal to users dot count. Okay. And maybe we can return, okay, or we can put this return on the line so we can say return, okay, then pass this in here. So you see this, now we are having this if here to check. But we see here, this if it is part of this one line. We are having 2 lines here, and on this just 1 line. Let's run this and see. So this count 5, but you see we have an error here. Let's check it out. Okay, so we have to get an else. So return okay count. Now let's see. So if we run this, let's try this and see what we have. If we see we still have the same 4. The reason is count is 4. Initial count is now. But as soon as it is now, this statement is true, then count these users and I'll assign it to this count and return it as well. Very simple. So we see with the use of this, just 1 line, you can skip all this. That is a coalescing operator. Now the last one is the ternary operator. The ternary operator. So what actually is ternary? Now, ternary operator was introduced at the beginning of the C#, that is C# version 1. It is also used to check, create an if statement on the same line, and assign a value if it is false or true. So instead of using the if else, you can use the ternary operator to have it on 1 line. And it is also good to use it because it optimizes code very well. Let's have a look with how to use this ternary operator in our code. We are still using the same list that we have here. Okay. So here we're going to create a new action method, and it's still going to be get. So http get. Then with this, let's pass in, this one is without ternary. So without ternary, and I will say this is public action result. So this action result, we want to return integer. And we say get 6. Okay, so this, we're going to say int count is equal to users.count. So we want to assign the count of users to this variable as count. Then we have to check. So if count is greater than 0, then what do you want to do? Return okay count. Else return okay and return just 1. Okay. So if count is greater than 0, return the count. If not, then return 1. So it means when we see 1, it tells you that the count of the users here is greater than 0. No, it's not greater than 0, it's less than 0. Because if this statement is true, if this condition is true, then return the first one, return the count. But if it is false, return 1. Let's try this to see. So ternary, try this out, and I can see it return 4. Now let's see. So let's check if this statement is, let's say it is greater than 0 or it is less than 0, then return this. So it means this is going to return 1. Now let's see. So run this, execute this, and you must see 1. Now let's use, you see here we have almost how many lines? We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's clear all this. Then Control K, let's comment this. And let's see what we can do. So we're going to say return. Okay. So return. Okay. Now with this, okay, we are going to first check. So return is count here greater than 0. So 0. Then put a question mark. So as you can see, if it is true, return the current count. If it is false, return not found. Maybe you can pass in 1. Okay. Or you can still bring in this count, okay, here to return the 1. This is just one line of code. If the count here, it is greater than 0, it's a question mark. If it is true, return this. So it is the same thing. If the count is greater than 0, if it is true, return this. That's what we have here. But if it is false, return this. And that's also what we have here. Let's test this. So I run this. And now let's see if this works. So execute. We have 4. Let's go and save that. Let's check this. Let's turn it upside down. Save it. Now let's go in there. Click on it. And you must have 1. You can see. So now, using a lot of codes here, you can use just one line of code. Coalescing operator, just 1 line. Ternary, 1 line. Lambda expression, 1 line. So when you use this, you can just clear all this from our code. And let's see how small this code will be. Let's clear all the native one. So with this, let's clear all this. Okay. So you see this is very simple, right? Now instead of writing a lot of code, and you see how many lines that we have. You see we have a few lines here. And that's the optimization. So we are now using the new features or what you can do to improve our code in C#. You can use these 3 operators. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is clear. And hopefully if you like what I'm doing, please just subscribe to the channel like, give me the thumbs up over there. And in case you have any issue too, you can just give it as a comment and we'll attend to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Take care of yourself and see you some other time.